A lot of people say that writing is a very solitary and lonely exercise. I have to say that that has not really been my experience, apart from the fact that when I'm writing I am in the company of my characters, who do tend to take over a little bit sometimes. I do a lot of research when I'm writing my books, and I find that people are so helpful. I've taken advice from a professor of forensic medicine. I've been in contact with a wonderful lady at the Human Remains Department at the Natural History Museum for my book coming out next year. I had to spend an entire afternoon at the fire station with all the firemen researching how domestic fires can start. It's a hard job, but somebody's got to do it. They did say that if they had a real fire, they would have to go away, but fortunately they didn't. I have a character who works in a market. I love going to markets, but I've never worked in one. So I was up book signing in York, I think it was, walking through a market, and I saw a couple of stall holders, so I started chatting to them, and they said, oh, you must go and talk to the market manager. And so I went up this little windy staircase and spent half an hour chatting to the market manager. It's only a small scene in the book, but I like to get the feel of what the world that my characters inhabit is like for them. Not so long ago, I had a character who was punched on the nose and had a broken nose. And I thought, because nobody's ever punched me on the nose, might do one day, I don't know, but so far I've managed to escape that. And I assumed that if you're punched on the nose, you'd be so shocked that it would be kind of numb. And someone who'd read the scene said to me, surely it would hurt if you're punched on the nose. So I thought, okay, I'd better research this. So I was working in a school at the time, and I sent an email round saying, has anybody ever had a broken nose? You would be amazed at the number of teachers who've had broken noses. I had quite a few emails. Well, the first email that came in was someone who said many times, what do you want to know? So I was able to ask this colleague about his experience of being punched in the nose and having his nose broken. Actually, to be fair, he hadn't been punched in the nose, he'd fallen and hit his nose on a table. But he had had a broken nose, and he said it did hurt a lot. So anyone reading that particular scene in my book who has had a broken nose wouldn't at that point step back and think, that's ridiculous, that's not what it's like. And I'm very keen to make my books as authentic as possible. I hate it personally when I'm reading a book and I come across something that jars, and straight away the illusion is broken. It's like listening to music and someone plays a wrong note. It takes you out of that world. So I do spend a lot of time researching. The internet is a fantastic resource. You can find out what time the sun set on October the 16th, 1945, if you want to. But to find out what life is like for people working in different environments, you really need to speak to, well, I need to speak to real people. I have a lot of wonderful contacts now on the police force, obviously. It does surprise me that I have a lot of fans on the police force, because it seems to me a bit like taking coals to Newcastle, but they seem to love my books, so that's fine. And my detective is relocating in the book coming out in 2012. She moves to London. So I've never worked as a police officer, but I know which police station in London serves homemade banana bread. I know which police station in London serves the best Jamaican stew. And it's details like this that help to make the worlds that I create in my books believable, so that while my readers are in the world of the book, they can hopefully buy into it and believe that this is really happening.